There's so many jobs in Dallas. Hey y'all, my name is Vanita. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber or viewer, welcome back. I'm glad to have you. As promised, today I'm sharing the cons of living here in Dallas, Texas. Now, I know under my first video I said a ton of disclaimers, but I'm gonna say those again here just in case it's your first time watching me. And make sure you watch both videos. You don't have to watch them in a specific order, so here are the disclaimers. First off, I'm not the biggest fan of Dallas, Texas, but this video is not meant to discourage anyone from moving here. It's just to help you set realistic expectations. When I watched these videos before I moved here, every video was just completely biased towards Dallas. They loved Dallas and they had huge list of pros and tiny list of cons. That's not me. I want to help you set realistic expectations, and I'm going to be completely transparent, open, and honest about my own personal experience here. And then just a little bit of background on me. I've been living in Dallas for over 3 years, but for a lot of that, we have been in a panorama, and also I was a workaholic at one point in time. So that may have some effect on my experience here. Also, I am from a small town in Pennsylvania, just as a point of reference because I will compare Dallas to home sometimes. And last but certainly not least, this is based on my own personal experience. Everybody's experience here will be different. And y'all, I feel like this about Dallas. I don't feel like Dallas is the worst city in the world or anything, but I feel like it will be an adjustment if you move here, especially depending on where you're moving from. And you know how some cities you see people move there and they completely have a different life within about a month? I don't think Dallas is that city. I think it's one of those cities where you're gonna have to work hard to meet new people, work hard to network, work hard for opportunities and things. But I do believe that it is worth it. But I just wanna make sure I share both sides of that for you guys. But without further ado, let's get into the video. The first con is the heat. Y'all. Now I know you're probably like, oh, we all know that Texas is hot. Yes, y'all know Texas is hot, but I don't think you realize how hot it is and how it affects your quality of life because, y'all, it's just to the point where you don't want to go outside, and I mean ever. I love playing tennis, and at first I was playing tennis probably about 6 days a week. I just kept cutting back slowly but surely because no matter how early we got out there, it was still too hot. When I tell you it'll be in the high 80s at 7 a.m., it's just ridiculous. I went out one night and at 11 o'clock it was 92. 11 p.m. 92. And I don't know if people really think about how much that affects your quality of life, because if you can never be outside, to me that's not a good lifestyle because I like to be out and about. And if it's to the point where it's a heat warning and it literally says stay inside, y'all, I'm not gonna be out and about. I have personally noticed the effects of being outside in the heat because when I was playing tennis every day, I would be exhausted. That heat is just draining. I don't think people really discuss this enough, how the heat can really have effects on you, and being in the house all the time is not good, especially this summer and spring. You want to be out and about, and here somebody will say they're having a pool party or whatever, and I'll just be like, an indoor pool or an outdoor pool? Because if it's an outdoor pool, I don't care if we're gonna be in the weather or not, it's too hot. I don't want to be outside, and I love being outside, so this is a big negative for me. Next is the pace. Depending on where you're from, you may not notice this as much as me. I am from Pennsylvania, the East Coast, and I feel like on the East Coast, things move a little bit faster. And a lot of people say down in the South, no matter where you go, it's just a slower pace. So that can just be a thing of being from the East Coast, but I expected Dallas to be just a little bit more, you know, just a little bit more peppier step, and it has definitely slower. And I don't like that. I really don't. I like more of a faster pace, but I just think that's something with the South. And if you're from the South, you won't even notice it because that's your normal, but for me it's not my normal, so I'm just like, kind of don't like that. This next one is a huge reason why I have not really enjoyed Dallas. It has been so difficult for me to meet women down here, and initially when I made the list I put difficult to meet people, and then I had to go back and correct that because it has not been difficult to meet people. There are men everywhere and they will always speak in this and that, but women, y'all. And the thing about it is, I was talking with someone else about this. Y'all know I got a Bumble BFF again, and I was actually talking to my new Bumble BFF about it, and she was saying how she feels like the women down here are weird. Granted, I won't say the women down here are weird, but I will say that the women I know who are from Texas, and I was closely acquainted with a few of them through work, honestly, but I got to see how they operate and things, and that was in the workplace, but my workplace was not professional at all, so I got to see them on a different level than just work. And I was just like, these are not the kind of women I want to associate with. So most of the women I meet who I even do click at all with or never from Texas. So it's just been very difficult. Also, I don't even know what kind of spaces to go in to meet the kind of women I'm looking for. I know I want to go to brunch. I know I want to get out and get active. I know I want to go shopping. But let's say if I do those things alone, I don't really meet people doing those things. Because normally if you're shopping, you're not looking to meet people. Or if you're out to brunch, the other people may be with someone else. You know what I mean? So I don't know exactly how I can really meet the women I want to meet. That's why I've resorted to Bumble BFF. But I'm thinking there's got to be a better way. If y'all have any suggestions for that, please let me know. If you move here and you're thinking you're just going to meet women instantly and it's going to be so easy, think again. And also, I will say this is probably something that does have to do with the panorama, because there hasn't been as much social. Now there is, but at one point in time it was harder to be social because a lot of people there wasn't a lot going on, you know. So I think if I was here for 3 years and the panorama never happened, I would have had an easier time. But it happened and it's still technically going on, so I think that does play into this. It's something I definitely have to throw out there, because when you don't have community in a place, that really makes you feel isolated, and that makes you really not like the place. Another con is the food. And honestly, I didn't think that this would be a con. I thought I would love the food down here, but it has been so hard to find good food. And I'm not gonna say there isn't good food here. There is, but you gotta look hard and you gotta just like do your research and do all this extra stuff. I wanna live somewhere where I can just go to a random restaurant and be like, oh, this is great. And it's funny, y'all, because when I visited Austin, actually I stayed there for 2 months for my job. The food there was amazing. That's one thing I will say about Austin. The food in Austin, y'all, walking into random restaurants and having the best food ever. So I don't know, Dallas. I think Dallas, we need to step it up, because the food I've been having here has really not been making me be like, oh. More times than not, I'm just like, you know what, I just cook at home because I can cook better than most of this food I'm eating. And I am a foodie, so this is a huge con. The next con is the rising cost of living. And I know this is not just specific to Dallas. The cost of living is rising everywhere. But the thing that I don't like about the cost of living rising here in Dallas is, one of the main reasons I moved to Dallas was for the low cost of living. And I feel like if Dallas is going to be as expensive as some of these other major cities, it'll just make me not want to be here even more, because what am I paying for? What am I paying for? You know, some cities it's like, okay, you're paying for the beach, or you're paying because you're just in the midst of the hustle and bustle. For New York City, for example, so much is going on, you're paying for that. But Dallas, what exactly am I paying for? If you know, please comment down below, because the cost of living can only get so high here. I just don't think Dallas has enough to offer for me to be paying an extreme amount to live here. It just doesn't make sense. Okay, so the next con has to do with the job market. And I put that it is extremely competitive. And I don't really know if that's what it is or if that's how I should word it. What I'm getting at is it has been hard for me to find a job. And it's funny because I've watched other videos like this and they're like, there's so many jobs in Dallas. And I'm like, yeah, there's so many jobs, but let me see you get a good one. Let me see you secure a good one, because I want to see that. And people will talk about how many jobs they are, but they won't talk about what kind of jobs they are. There are plenty of jobs. If you go look and see how many jobs there are in Dallas, there's plenty. Don't get me wrong. But how many good jobs are there, and how many people are applying to those? That's why I say it's extremely competitive. Because for me, I have to be making a certain salary or above just to maintain a certain kind of lifestyle. And with the rising cost of living, it becomes very important to make a certain amount of money. So if you just have a bottom of the barrel job, I don't know how you're gonna be able to survive out here. So just keep in mind that the job market is very competitive. And I know I did a moving video, how to move. I would not move here without a job, and a good job at that, because it may not be as easy to find a job down here as you'll think. A lot of people say, oh, there's so many jobs, this and that. But those same people already came here with jobs that working remote or this or that. So just make sure the job market is extremely competitive. And I'll let y'all know when I secure a good job, but it has been very difficult. The next con is one that everybody talks about, the driving here in Dallas. Y'all, I haven't driven in Dallas in months, thank God. But even just being in the car in Dallas, it gives me anxiety. There's always so many accidents. 635 is a freaking wreck. Traffic. Now, I actually haven't been experiencing the traffic too much, but being where I live, I know that people complain about the traffic just getting to me. So I know traffic is a thing here, and also the tolls. I am cheap, so I always put in avoid tolls, but sometimes that can make the time just skyrocket. So you gotta be prepared to pay for those tolls or to spend more time getting around. And it just depends on what you want to do. Me personally, I love to save money, so I don't want to pay for those tolls. But sometimes it really is just better to take a toll road. Now this next one is the biggest reason I think I don't like Dallas. There is just no point of differentiation for me. And what I mean by that is this. Dallas is a big city. But what about Dallas makes Dallas Dallas? You know, there's certain cities and they're known for certain things. Y'all, I just cannot find something that makes me be like, okay, this is something that I love about Dallas. And there are things that I do like about Dallas, but I feel like I would love that about any city. For example, shopping. Yes, Dallas has a lot of shopping, but that's how most major cities are. When I start to mention my pros list, you'll see that the pros I mentioned aren't really specific to Dallas. That could be a lot of major cities. And that's what I don't like about Dallas. There's nothing about Dallas that just sparkles to me. There's no reason I'm just like, I love Dallas. I love living in the city, but I feel like I could live in any city. Not any city, but there are some cities that would be more appealing. And honestly, a city on the East Coast would probably be my best bet. Maybe even on the West Coast, I don't know. But I feel like I would have liked living in a city more if it was on the East Coast. Another con for me personally is it has been difficult for me to find things to do that interest me and then finding people to do those things with. And granted, let's just break it apart. It's been difficult for me to find things that interest me, just period, whether I have someone to do it with or not. But then trying to find people that want to do the things I want to do, oh, that just takes it to a whole nother level. And the thing about it is, Dallas is a big drinking and eating city. Don't get me wrong, y'all. I love to eat. I am a foodie. But the thing about it is, the food here is not even that great for it to be such an eating city. And then the drinking, I do like to drink, but I'm more of an occasional drinker. And I feel like it's one of those cities where every social outing is drinking and eating. And I'm just like, I don't want to do that all the time. I want to live in a city where I can go see a play, where I can go to the beach, where I can just do random little things or even just get active. And that's another thing about Dallas. Let me give you an example. I saw this adventure park here in Dallas. Well, it's actually outside of Dallas, but you know, whatever. It's close enough to Dallas to be considered Dallas. And I was like, oh, that's dope, this and that. Actually, somebody sent it to me and it was something cool that we could do together. But the problem with it is it's outdoor and it's just not doable. It's something where, yeah, maybe we could do that in the fall or in the winter. And who even knows if it's open in the winter, but it's just crazy how there will be activities that I'll see that'll be appealing, but then there's something about Dallas that ruins it. And me and her were just both like, yeah, no, there's no way we're doing that. We can't be out in 100 degrees doing this little adventure park. It looked cool. Maybe it should have been indoor. I don't know. But that's the thing about Dallas. It's hard to find things that actually make sense that I want to do and that other people also want to do. And even just for me to do. So that's a big reason why I'm just like, quality of life, quality of life. I wish I had a point system so I could just like another quality of life point docked. Remember at the beginning of the video I said this is my own personal story and experience? This one is very, very personal, and it is the distance from home. This is a major, major con for me. And obviously for you, if you're thinking of moving here, this will be different for you depending on how far away it is. But I wish I would have taken into account how far Dallas is from home. I don't even know, y'all. I think it's over 20 hours. It might be 22. Let's just say it is so far away from home that I couldn't drive there. I mean, granted, my dad drove down here before, but that's him. I personally would never drive that long. And it's about a 3-hour, maybe it's a 2-hour flight. I don't know. But it's one of those things where I can't go home every day. And granted, I don't want to go home every day, but I can't go home as regularly as I would like. Granted, I think as my finances increase, I will be able to go home more. But going home isn't just something that can just be like spur of the moment, like, oh, I'm going home, you know? In hindsight, I think maybe a city that was just a little bit closer to home would have been a better choice. For example, maybe DC or, I don't know what other cities I would have chosen. I think somewhere that was within driving distance that I felt comfortable driving may have been a nice thing for me to have. Because, y'all, I will never, ever drive back home. And if I am in a car that's taking me home, I won't be the one driving. I can promise you that. I think that everyone should take into account the distance from home that they will be when they move, if you're planning on moving just far away, because it'll come time when something's going on and you'll have to miss it because it's either spur of the moment or it's just too much, especially if you're working a full-time job. It's like, oh, I have 2 days off and I just don't have the time to fly home and fly back and only be there for 24 hours. It doesn't make sense, especially with the flight prices, y'all. I need to be at home for a whole week if I'm gonna pay for that flight. Just something to take into consideration. That's all of my cons, and honestly, y'all, I think that was a pretty hefty list. For being in this city 3 years to have that list of cons, especially since a lot of them affect the livability of this city, it's huge. Make sure you guys let me know your thoughts down below. And are you subscribed? If you watched the whole way to the end and you're not subscribed, why? Obviously you like the content, so make sure you subscribe down below. And make sure you share the video and like the video. That's the most important thing you can do. I'll see y'all next time. Thank you so much for watching. I love each and every one of y'all.